Hey guys, welcome back inside the State Champs Sports Network studio. The man to my left, well, he is the voice of Wayne State football. You may see him on TV. He also does Lions pre- and post-game, so he is a football guy, not just a hockey guy. He is Sean Belizean, and we're here to talk about the Hungry Howie's Mr. Football race, and we can talk about a team that's not going to make us pull our hair out like the Lions. We can talk about the crazy playoffs that took place in Week 1 and how it affects the Mr. Football race.
Well, as predicted, we sat here a week ago and we told you, look, there are going to be upsets. You know, it's just a question of where the upsets were. Certainly, the field did not let us down. There were a ton of upsets. So, what are we left with? Well, one of the criteria that we've talked about all year long on this very show, and we've done this for years, is how far your team goes. So with that being said, let's take a look at some of the guys in our field, our top 10, that are still playing football. Let's start with Walled Lake Western. As you know, we got a couple of guys there. You got Trainer last week. He throws for 3 touchdowns. Oh, by the way, 2 of them to Yassine. They roll big 35-7 in their first matchup. They get to play host to Fenton. Warriors looking good. So a couple of Warrior players there really making a case for themselves, Lauren, to be considered when all is said and done.
Yeah, the guys, the real buzz right now, and again, both can be given, I would say, equal buzz. But Yassine is really starting to come on, and people are really noticing him.
How about the Cardinals? A lot of people thought, hey, you had a fantastic season. Good for you. You're going to Romeo.
Me included.
Think again. They get a massive 35-21 win at Romeo. And for Brendan Sullivan, an improbable 88-yard touchdown. Now, I haven't seen it, but I'm sure you've heard people talk about it. Flushed back into his end zone, found a guy in the flat. He went 88 yards to put that game on ice. Yep. Now, a rematch. Another opportunity for Sullivan and Davison to make a name for themselves. They go to Lapeer. They lost just a couple weeks ago in double overtime to Lapeer. So a glorious opportunity for Sullivan and the Cardinals to not only continue the march, but for Sullivan to continue his march on our Player of the Year candidacy.
Yeah, and just late in that game to send it into overtime against Lapeer was Brendan just kind of with full moxie on 4th down, running it in from about 6 yards out. That was a huge play, huge momentum shift for them. Lapeer does get the win. This is going to be a real interesting rematch. Just a few weeks ago they met, and those games are always interesting. You got full game tape now against one another. So, yeah, we'll see how that plays out.
King rolled over Temperance Bedford at 45-7. I think some people were kind of taken aback. Look, King is a favorite. There's no doubt about that. But to win the way they did, that was a big statement. Rashawn Williams, obviously a big part of their team. His stock continues to rise. Everywhere you look, you're seeing his name mentioned amongst players being highly recruited all over the great state of Michigan. They've got a very interesting game coming up against a dangerous team. Livonia Franklin is a team that I think people remember the run that they made a couple of years ago. They've been really good for a while. That's a dangerous matchup, one that I'm going to keep an eye on. King hosting the Franklin Patriots.
Once I believe they get through this district, and I believe that they will, I would say in region, King might have the easiest path to Ford Field. I mean, Oak Park falling last week really just kind of threw everything in the flood. I had Oak Park in the final.
Sure.
So King knows playoff football.
Let's move to Muskegon. How about this? If we haven't said enough about Cam Martinez, how about in the playoffs, a school record, 7 rushing touchdowns. Might I add, they were all in the first half. He rolled up 293 yards on 19 carries. The Big Reds continue to roll. And next up, they got a matchup with Cedar Springs. But what more can we possibly add to Cam Martinez? You know what the Big Reds want to do. They want to add state champion to that tally. But Cam Martinez, he's certainly doing his part, Lauren.
He wants to leave his legacy, his stamp at a Big Red program that has been nothing but just unbelievable quarterbacks at Muskegon. And he is on a mission. Unbelievable. One of the best players we've had in a decade.
No question. No question. Yeah. You know, another guy that's really starting to rise, and you see his name pop up all over the place, Donovan Edwards. He and the Lakers got a massive win over Canton. I think a lot of people, yours truly included, thought that this game might be a little more tight than it turned out to be. Lakers had something to say other than that, but Donovan Edwards, a big part for their success. You know they want nothing more than to take that next step as well for West Bloomfield. They get to host a pretty good Plymouth team. Now, they've had some success against them in the past, but with players like Donovan Edwards, this West Bloomfield team is going to be a team to be reckoned with, as is Edwards.
Absolutely, no question about it. Donovan Edwards is another guy who is just laser focused on making big plays for this Laker team. If Belleville gets by Woodhaven, which will be a challenge for them, it's going to be West Bloomfield, Belleville, two Titans going, and I say the winner of that is going to win the state championship. I'll just throw that out there right now. But West Bloomfield, Donovan Edwards, explosive, really going to be exciting to see these next couple of games. And if they do get to the semifinals where they take on, a East Kentwood or a Hudsonville or Brighton, I think they've got a good path, clear path to Ford Field, and Donovan Edwards is going to be right there knocking his way into the Final Four.
You mentioned Belleville. You, of course, were at the game last week. I think that was one of the more shocking developments of last weekend, the way that Belleville handled their business. Listen, Selene's a really good football team, and Belleville, Lauren, you were there. I'll let you pontificate on it in a moment, but Christian Dew Reed, they rolled to a 49-10 victory. Dew Reed is a guy, they keep winning. He keeps putting up numbers. 3 touchdowns already to his impressive track record. It was interesting. I was reading a story online where he was saying, hey, you know what? I'm not maybe getting the love that I deserve yet, but I'm sure it's going to come if we keep winning. Hey, Christian, you must not be watching this show. We're showing you a ton of love, and you deserve every bit of it. Another big game and big win for the Tigers. Tigers are looking great. I saw a comment, a bunch of the Selene players, Selene coaches saying they might just win it all. I wouldn't put it past them, Lauren.
Yeah. He's a very laid-back guy. He's interesting. He's not a huge rah-rah guy. Dew Reed just goes out there and does his business. The coach is not overlooking Woodhaven by any means.
No.
This Woodhaven team is undefeated. The Downriver League was a tougher league this year. Woodhaven is a good team. So they're going to have to continue that battle, continue that pace. But, man, they can just really put their foot on the gas when they need to. And I'm really, really excited to see if Bloomfield and West Bloomfield and Belleville meet next week. It would be a fantastic game.
Lauren, again, we have 10 guys on our list, but we're going to be talking about the 7 guys, and we concluded the 7 guys that are still alive in the playoff. Per our criteria, we talk about this over and over and over again during the course of really every year. Per our criteria, this is a situation now where these guys can only go like this. The further that their teams go and they have big performances, big game performance is a massive contributor and part of the criteria in regards to finding our eventual winner.
As is team success, and just like the way high school playoffs roll, Andrew Anthony is out. However, he's leading the vote, so he will have an automatic bid into the Final Four should he stay where he is, and he has a nice, comfortable lead as far as the votes go. Malik Carr and Oak Park, they're out. So Carr now is going to have to it's going to be really hard for him to get in the Final Four. And then you talk about Ian Stewart, our second leading vote getter for Gibraltar Carlson. They're out. Obviously, he's going to have a great career at Michigan State. I really believe that. As an athlete, he's very, very versatile, but it's going to be very difficult for them to get in the Final Four. So that's why we're concentrating on the guys still alive, because it's big game performance and it's team success. That's our first 2 criteria, and this is the time of year where it all counts. And again, it's not your fault if your team got knocked off.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So 50% of the criteria is performance throughout the season, because we look at that very closely, and then your level of competition. So if you're a team that played great teams all season long, well, I'm telling you now that just because you lost in the first round is not going to immediately take you out of this competition. But again, got a long way to go. We'll give you another update in the Hungry Howie's Mr. Football race next week.